chilled gas comes into contact with the warm, moist Florida air, and it condenses the water in the air to form the clouds that you see on your screen. Next major activity will be T-minus 60 seconds. That's when Falcon 9 will be in startup. The rocket's autonomous internal flight computers will have taken over the launch countdown. The call out you just heard now, ground gas closeouts, we're venting down the lines on the strung back, make sure that they're empty before the Falcon 9 lifts off. As we get into the final minute, the terminal sequence, inside of T-minus 2 seconds, we'll light the Merlin engines. But right now, as we wait for the call out at T-minus 1, everything continues to be go for launch.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Falcon flight computers now controlling the launch vehicle. Ground computers are doing the last steps here for ground systems.
LD, go for launch.
That should be the last call out. The SpaceX launch director gave the go for launch. We're coming up on the T-minus 35 second mark. Everything is go. Let's listen in to the launch of Falcon 9 with mPOWER E.
T-minus 15 seconds. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff. Go Vehicles fishing downrange. Chamber pressure's nominal.
T plus 30 seconds, and Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center. We're carrying the two O3b mPOWER satellites. We've heard the initial call out. Stage 1 propulsion is nominal, and the Falcon 9 is beginning the pitch downrange.
Power and telemetry nominal.
Avionics confirms power and telemetry coming from the second stage are nominal on Falcon 9. We're into the throttle bucket
Falcon
right
9
now.
is supersonic.
We've heard the call. We're supersonic. And engines have throttled back up as we're coming through the period of maximum dynamic pressure. Guidance officer calls out max Q, confirming we're through the period of greatest stress. 9 Merlin engines running at full power. Now on your screen, you can see on the left the speed and the altitude of the first stage. Stage separation will occur at about 8,200 kilometers per hour. And in order to get into the initial orbit, what we call the parking orbit, the Falcon 9 has to gain enough speed to reach about 27,000 kilometers per hour. That's a bit under the 17,000 miles per hour, used as a rule of thumb for the low Earth orbit velocity. Now we've got several events coming up in about half a minute. We're going to have main engine cutoff. Then a few seconds later, we get stage separation. And then the second stage engine start number 1 called SES-1. During main engine cutoff, we're going to shut down the 9 Merlin engines. Then we'll get the stage separation. And once we're separated, take a look in the daylight. You should be able to see the view of the first stage as we begin a slow flip to orient the first stage back towards Earth, while simultaneously the MVAC engine on the second stage will ignite for the first time.
Miko. Stage separation confirmed. Evacuation.
We've heard it and seen it. We've got successful main engine cutoff, stage separation, ignition of the second stage engine. Nice views late in the afternoon as we're leaving Florida, and maybe we've got MVAC engine shutdown.
Nominal parking orbit.
Stage 1 landing burn.
And both callouts right on time. Guidance reports a nominal parking orbit for the second stage. The first stage has begun the landing burn. Headed to the drone ship on the power of the center engine E9.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy. Stage 1 landing confirmed.
All right, and we have touchdown of formerly new booster on the drone ship out in the Atlantic. So there you have it. That landing marks SpaceX's 385th recovery of an orbital class rocket. That includes first stage landings for both Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. Meanwhile, the second stage, there's a great view, and I think in the distance you can see a little bit of the contrail in the upper atmosphere as we headed east out of the Cape just before sunset. And so we're watching the last glow of the sun as the second stage heads eastward into the shadow of the Earth. So second stage embarking now on the initial coast phase. The view you're seeing there, that's the payload adapter. The mPOWER spacecraft are just on top, but they're hidden from view. And so with that, we're not expecting to have great views of payload deploy, and we're going to end the webcast at this point. But keep an eye out on our X account for confirmation of payload deploy. That comes around the T+2 hour mark.